Welcome to your online coffee break, where we discuss bite-sized topics that inspire, educate, and entertain. Here's your host, a software innovator, award-winning marketer, and astronomy and space buff, Chuck Fields.
Hello, thanks for joining me today for your online coffee break. Today, it's my pleasure to honor and welcome our special guest, legendary Alan Parsons. Alan is an English audio engineer, songwriter, musician, and record producer, perhaps best known for his work on the Alan Parsons Project. Throughout his career, Alan has received several Grammy nominations and top 40 hits, including Eye in the Sky, Games People Play, and Don't Answer Me. Alan joins us today to talk about his incredible career, as well as his upcoming tour and new album, The Secret. Hey folks, sorry for interrupting, but we're going to give away some fantastic coffee today from Tinker Coffee Company. Tinker is a specialty coffee roaster located in Indianapolis, Indiana. They have amazing, robust, exotic coffee from all around the world. All you need to do to be eligible to win is to share this episode on social media, such as Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, using the hashtag #OnlineCoffeeBreak. Again, to enter this contest, just share this episode on your favorite social media platform by the end of February 2019, and we'll pick a lucky winner. Thank you so much for listening. Now back to the show.
Online coffee break.
Alan, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Now, I wanted to, before we get into your fascinating music, I wanted to geek out just a little bit. I am an astronomy buff, and I wanted to talk to you briefly about this beautiful solar eclipse that we had just about a year and a half ago in 2017 that I believe you went to and even ran into somebody famous on the way there. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience with that eclipse and what you thought of it?
Yes, I mean a number of our band members live in Nashville, Tennessee, and Nashville was one of the places in the States where there was a perfect total eclipse of the sun. And on the plane, on the way to Nashville, I noticed this long white-haired guy that looked very familiar. It turned out to be Brian May, who was also on his way to Nashville to share with his friends and associates the eclipse as well. It was an amazing experience. It really was. And but Brian and I got chatting, and we've been in touch since. I recently congratulated him on the success of Bohemian Rhapsody, and he was very, very pleased about that.
Oh, fantastic. Now, was this your first solar eclipse that you ever witnessed, Alan?
Yes. Well, there was a total eclipse in the UK about, probably 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think it was 1999 or something. And it was not total in London, but you could see a good slice out of the sun.
Wonderful.
The wonderful thing about a total eclipse is the fact that you can take the glasses off. You know, you have to watch it developing with these special glasses and goggles and what have you. But once it's total, it's just like looking at a hole in the sky. It's really quite extraordinary how it feels to share in a total eclipse. Amazing.
I totally agree with you on that. That was my first time that I saw one at the total eclipse part, and it was beautiful.
Where were you?
We were actually in a place called Metropolis, Illinois. It was the fictitious hometown of Superman. They actually had a 14-foot tall Superman statue with solar glasses on it. It was a hoot. It was a lot of fun, but again, very beautiful. Now, Alan, my first introduction to you, when I was a teenager, I used to love going out in the backyard with friends. We'd sleep under the stars, listen to the radio, and it was 1981, and we were looking up the stars, and on comes the radio, the beautiful song, Time by Alan Parsons Project. And I just have to say, it was so majestic. I just wondered, what was your inspiration for that song? It's so beautiful.
Well, it was, believe it or not, it was the first time that I'd let Eric loose on a vocal. He always did guide vocals, because he was the main writer and wrote all the lyrics. So mm-hmm. I'm not really equipped to say what his inspiration was for that song, but the song I think demanded the lush production that we gave to it, and Eric actually did a really good job on the vocal, and from that point on he pretty much sang on every album and was the vocalist on many of the hits that came after, like Don't Answer Me, Eye in the Sky, and so on.
See, I think that's wonderful. And I understand that actually before Alan Parsons Project came about, which I believe was 1975 or so, before that, you start off sort of have an impressive family history in entertainment. You studied piano and flute as a child. I just wonder, where did your fascination with sound and music come from?
I was always fascinated with sound. I was fortunate enough to have parents that were in need of tape recorders. My mother in particular, just to record Scottish folk songs while playing harp. But I had access to a tape recorder from literally from the age of 4 onwards, and there were recordings of me as a very small boy singing in my bathtub. So I had a certain fascination with tape recording even as a child, and then that developed into a love of gadgetry overall. And I think I was probably destined to become a recording engineer, really, because I did love gadgetry as well as music. So those two passions came together,
Yeah, and I think you're only 19 years old. I think we landed a job at Abbey Road Studios. Is that true?
That's right. Just before my 20th birthday, I was probably the youngest guy on the staff there for a while. I think I probably became one of the oldest in the end, but
also definitely one of the best.
I actually went, having started right at the bottom as a T-boy, come tape librarian, assistant trainee engineer. I went back in the late 90s as the boss. I actually ran the place for a while.
Really, I did not know that.
It's not been often publicized, that fact, but the truth of the matter is I kind of ran away screaming because it wasn't the job that I thought it would be. It just turned out to be very very corporate, and the fact is I spent most of my time on the phone and looking at spreadsheets and doing salary reviews and hiring and firing and all that kind of stuff. So it really wasn't for me. It was not a creative job at all. So, like I said, I just ran away and went back into the music business.
Oh, definitely a good choice there, because when you were at Abbey Road Studios, I believe you actually worked on the last 2 albums by the Beatles, and then you eventually even worked on as an engineer on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, it was an amazing sequence of events from the time that I started. The last 2 albums by the Beatles, working with the Hollies, Pink Floyd, all amazing acts that were bestowed upon me to work with. So it was a wonderful, wonderful time for me.
Yeah, and I think one of your amazing years is 1974, big transformation for you. I think that you were nominated for your first Grammy Award for your work on Dark Side of the Moon. And you also you worked with the British band Pilot on their hit single Magic, which I just love. And that was also 1974. Great song there. One thing I want to ask you, though, the audio effects were so amazing, and this is all before 1975. They're done back then using just tape or echo chambers. As you say, they didn't have any magic black boxes. What's the biggest difference? Is it so much easier now, or do you miss some of the old analog effects? What's your opinion on that?
Many of the dearly loved analog effects are available as what we call plugins in software. But there's still scope for people to use the original echo chambers, echo plates, as we call them, and to use tape machines for delay. I mean, before the digital age was handed to us, every process pretty much to process sound involved acoustics and or tape machines. You played with the sound of a room. You tried different spaces, different microphone positions, distant miking, close miking, combinations of both, and then adding effects like tape delays, tape echoes, reverbs, chambers, all this stuff was all very primitive and very 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 much analog. It's really only in the years that followed, going into the 80s and 90s, that everything was reproducible digitally.
See, I think that's fascinating, because going back and just listening to your work before then and realizing it was done by cutting tape and just with the older technology, it's just phenomenal, just how good you are and how amazing of an engineer you are on that. I did want to switch gears for a second. Yeah, Alan Parsons Project came about in 1975. I believe that's when Eric Wolfson became your manager. One thing I love is your first 2 albums were basically adaptations of Edgar Allan Poe, the Tales of Mystery and Imagination, and then of course Isaac Asimov with I, Robot. Do you have a fascination with Poe and Asimov? How did that come about?
But Eric and I both had read Poe at school. I grew up with Edgar Allan Poe.
Nice.
And it was totally Eric's idea to make a concept album based on the work of Poe. But because I was a fan, I thought it was a brilliant idea. That really was the album that started it all. We knew that future albums after Tales of Mystery would be conceptual, and I, Robot was a natural choice, I think, to follow Poe with, although it was not actually directly associated with anything of Isaac Asimov. In fact, quite the opposite. It was it followed philosophies that were not included in the Asimov trilogy. But I was proud of the fact that we had found a market for ourselves making these concept albums. They're much less fashionable these days. They're considered to be perhaps pretentious these days. But we fitted into what people wanted at the time.
It was fantastic. And speaking of what people wanted, Eye in the Sky album came out in 1982. My gosh, number 3 on US Billboard, top 40, number 1 in Canada. I understand you recently released Eye in the Sky, the 35th anniversary set. I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, we have released a 35th anniversary set in a box. With a very nice packaging, a nice book, lots of rare pictures and images from the period. And also we did a surround mix, a 5.1 surround mix. So nice. we managed to find all the tapes and get them all transferred to digital. And that's quite a feat, and believe it or not, to find all the tapes from an album made 35 years earlier.
Wow, I could not imagine.
And But we found everything and did the surround mix, and it's also the box set also has a set of vinyl discs. In fact, 2 sets of vinyl discs, which are actually at 45 RPM, wow. not 33 and a third. That gives you the ultimate high quality, doing it at the high speed, and the mastering itself is actually done with the music running at half speed, which gives you another level of fidelity.
Oh, that's fascinating.
The surround mix has actually been nominated for a Grammy, I'm pleased to tell you.
Really? That's fantastic.
I'm up for my 13th Grammy nomination. I think everybody's very hopeful that I might actually win this year. I've never won a Grammy, although I've had 12 previous nominations.
Exactly. Well, congratulations on your nomination. We're going to hope that that you get this one. You certainly deserve it with all your amazing work. Wow. And I understand you're actually getting ready to release your latest album. I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, the new album is actually finished. It's at the manufacturers now. It's due for release April 26th. Nice. The title is The Secret. I won't divulge any more about the subject matter than that title. But we've got lots of great people appearing on it. We've got Jason Mraz doing a vocal.
Wow.
We've got Lou Gramm from Foreigner doing a vocal. There's an instrumental piece featuring Steve Hackett and my good friend ukulele virtuoso Jake Shinobukuro.
Wow.
And Nathan East on bass, Vinny Caliuto on drums. It's quite a superstar gathering on this album. And I'm very proud of it, and I feel that it should do better than my last album, which, believe it or not, was 15 years ago.
Well, fantastic. We're so excited about that. We cannot wait till its release date. We'll keep an eye out for that. And I understand, just real quick, that you're actually getting ready to embark on a tour. You're going all over the world, I believe?
And we're coming to both Montreal and Quebec. So
wow.
It'll be international tour, or North American tour, shall we say. We're actually starting on Justin Hayward's On the Blue cruise, which starts in the first week of February.
Very nice.
Do that for 5 days, and then a few shows in Florida, and then we come into Canada.
Well, that's fantastic. And then I understand one thing that also attracted me to this is that on Saturday, July 13th, this coming summer, you're actually giving a free concert in celebration of the Apollo 11 50th anniversary. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, just recently we've established a friendship with a number of people at NASA. There's a big NASA base very close to where we live in Santa Barbara called the Vandenberg Air Force Base, and they launch all kinds of amazing rockets from there. And we get a first-class view of these rockets going up from where we live. But through these friends at NASA, they came up with the idea that we should do a show. We've actually dedicated a song to the 50th anniversary of the launch.
Oh, fantastic!
It's called One Note Symphony.
Oh, nice.
That will feature obviously at the show, and we'll be performing for anybody and everybody who has the interest in this 50th anniversary of man's first steps on the moon. Looking forward to it.
That's amazing, Alan. Well, we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to your new album, The Secret. And we just want to congratulate you on your most recent Grammy nomination, and want to just congratulate you on your amazing career. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much for just taking time out of your busy schedule, Alan, to join us today. Really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much.
Online coffee break.
Wow, what an honor it was to speak today with Alan Parsons. Hope you enjoyed this. I sure did. I want to thank him for joining us today. If you'd like to learn more about him and his new music, just go to his website, alanparsons.com. I'd like to thank you for joining us today. If you'd like to leave a comment on today's topic, just go to our website, onlinecoffeebreak.com, or give us a call at 317-862-4700. We'd also love it if you'd follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Online Coffee Break. And we'd love it if you'd share this episode with your friends or rate us on your favorite podcast application. Thank you so much for joining us today. See you next time. God bless.